Now, in this final segment, we're going to discuss preparations ahead of the main opposition All People's Congress party's lower level elections, among other things this morning. And in the studio, we've been joined by Abdul Karim Kamara Esquire, member APC publicity team. Good morning.
It's a pleasure being here as always. Good morning, family.
Indeed. Before delving into your primaries and how crucial they are, what has the APC been up to?
Well, it's been a deliberate and calculated attempt by the party to making sure that our lower level elections produce the required desire.
Okay.
We want to see that our lower level elections are devoid chaos. Everybody is feeling satisfied at the end of the day. We want to make sure that the internal politics of the party is quiet and satisfactory. But that cannot be achieved overnight. It's gradual and it's procedural. And thus the party in its leadership, the party with its leadership through Alhaji Minkelu Mansare, the Secretary General Lanson Adumboye, they're working tirelessly to making sure that they cross the T's and dot the I's. So at the end of the day, a level playing field is created for all and sundry. So what we've succeeded in doing is that to clear the data, make the data very viable, disconnect the data from any ambiguity or any Shinningan Act to make sure that people feel dissatisfied or challenge or question the credibility of the data. So we are sanitizing the data as it is of now. We have published lists of people who have done the necessaries, i.e. existing members who are verified, to cross-check with their respective districts to see whether their cards are now ready, their names have been entered into the party's data. In other words, the party's register. If that is not so, they will equally go to their respective districts, cross-check their names, whether they are properly spelled, their words, and all necessary clerical work is being done at this moment.
Let's now talk about the primaries. How important are these elections to your party's governance?
The importance of these primaries cannot be overemphasized at all. Don't forget that the NDC, the ultimate NDC, begins with the lower level. Okay. It is from this lower level that culminates to the ultimate NDC, where we elect our party nationals and ultimately the standard bearer of the party. So it has to begin with the lower level, the primaries, as we're embarking on them next month. So what we're doing is that we have made it abundantly clear that pursuant to Article 54G of our party constitution, for you to have the right, the franchise to vote at these lower level elections, you must have been a paid up member of the party for consistently 12 months. And that qualifies you to vote. However, what we have done is that we have equally given a list, we have equally published a list out to people, to the respective district chairmen across the board, and to people who are going there to verify that whilst we were verifying or doing the data, the party register, we came across certain inadequacies, i.e. there are other people whom we realized that they have not fully paid up the 12 calendar months, and so their name is pegged according to the months they have paid for. Equally so, there are others who paid to our respective bank accounts, but they brought in fake bank slips, and to the extent that their payment was not reflected in the party's account. So all these necessary checks are being done. And so we've published the first list, and it's all over the districts now. So people now, party loyalists, are now reaching to their respective chairmen to verify whether exactly their names are captured into that list that we have sent. And so any query that will be emanating from same can be directed to the party and clarifications will be done. So this is exactly the essence. The essence of all this is to make sure that we want to have at the end of the day a situation where nobody cries foul. Nobody cries that I am not equally treated or I'm not fairly treated. There had already been a scene that has been created to favor one person as opposed to the other. So that is exactly the situation we want to avert. So that is more so the reason why we are taking our time meticulously to making sure that we do things accordingly.
In the primaries, what offices would you be going there to fill?
Yeah. Respectively, our constitution caters for all the offices as provided for in the national office as well. It begins from the ward chairman, ward vice chairman, ward secretary general, ward deputy secretary general, ward whip, ward PRO, ward youth leader, ward women's leader, and so forth and so on. It's like when we say we're building a cadre. So whatever that is replicated whatever that is at the national strata is replicated to the lowest of the low, so that people feel their party right from the grassroots. That if you say he's the PRO, he's the CDI attorneys of the party, the ward will say this is our own CDI attorneys, the PRO of the ward. So when you say he's the CDI attorneys national, the constituency will say this is our constituency PRO. When you say this is CDI attorneys national, the district will say this is the district PRO. It's like that. So all that is at the national level is replicated at the lower level. But again, the entrance legitimacy and the qualification varies. That's exactly the distinction.
What's the scheduled or slated dates for the primaries?
We have proposed August this year, virtually next month. But because there are certain things we have been confronted with, i.e., as I told you just now, that the provisional list we've just made available, there are certain challenges we are facing, that some felt they have paid full, but the slip they tendered with the party is fake, so they have to rectify it. So in the wisdom of the leadership of the party, we've extended 21 more days to making sure that we sanitize the data in its entirety. And having done so, we have to submit this data to PPRC. Don't forget that this whole thing about party politics is being regulated by a commission. So it is that list we have to submit to PPRC together with the venue, identifying the places we are going to hold our elections. Don't forget that this is all going to be done by an institution, again, which is created by the party, or an organ created by the party, which is called the IEMC, which is solely responsible for that particular act of conducting elections, announcing elections, and preparing venues for same. So they have just conducted their retreat, completed it in its entirety. It was well attended, and they have equally submitted to us the party manual as to how they want to see our lower level elections being done. So it is all these processes we have to put together, and then we submit to PPRC to see an organized way of doing things. We want to disconnect ourselves from that abysmal way the SAPP conducted theirs. It is chaotic, so have us that. We don't want to see it that way. As a party preparing for governance, we want to see composing ourselves, behaving ourselves in a very appropriate way, so that people will start to see the seriousness in us to come to status. So this is exactly what we're doing.
2028 elections is just around the corner by next year. Well, even now, elections activities have started,
yes,
party level,
exactly.
But by next year, would be thinking about national level. And whoever gets to win 2028 elections, whichever political party, it would require support and teamwork from that party. What we've seen over the years is people who tend to lose elections for whatever position in a party sometimes tend to say, I am backing out of supporting the party itself entirely, leading to a gap somewhere along the line when it comes to the national elections. How are you addressing the pre-elections problems within the party?
Yes, Phoebe, what you've said is not a novelty, it's real. And it is because of this fact, as you've pointed out, that the party is so careful to making sure that we avert such an occurrence in the future. Such things happen when people feel dissatisfied, when people feel a level playing field was not created for all. Some people feel that the process was skewed to favor one person as against the other. And it is all these vices, these negative vices, we've taken into cognizance, and we want to sanitize the system to making sure that at the end of the day, whosoever wins the standard bearership of our party becomes a win for all, because everybody will feel satisfied. Everybody will own the process, that the process was credible, it was fair, it was transparent. And so he has no reason to back off, but rather to see himself joining the team to state out.
What efforts is the party making to ensure inclusivity? Inclusivity from all levels, persons with disability, gender. How what are your efforts to ensure inclusivity even from this level of representation?
Of course, our party is magnanimous that we created an organ called the Disability Wing. That's one. The Women's Congress is another. And equally for every committee, whether ad hoc or whatever statutorily required committee to be created, we factor all these categories of persons into these committees for representation, because we want to see everybody feel part of the process. We want to make everybody have the essence or that feeling that I am important, I can make decisions, I am relevant, they think of me, I am called upon to serve. This is exactly what we're doing and what we'll continue to do. But however, again, strictly sensu, our party is the party of the common man. And so we will never dissociate ourselves from making sure that the common man feels satisfied. That is also the reason we are called the grassroots party. We make sure that we go to the lowest of the low. We communicate to our people. They are our potential flag bearer aspirants. You see the camaraderie amongst them. Recently, when Dr. Kalfara Mara was making his town hall lecture, Leone on the Crossroad, you see the party stalwarts, intending flag bearers. Everybody was there to grace the program. It happened again with Usman Timbo, Abdel Timbo, at his declaration at the New Brookfield Hotel. All party stalwarts were there. Everybody was there to support. We are making sure that this system is like, you know what? A house divided in itself will not stand. It's only unity of purpose that will lead us to State House. Let us learn from our bitter experience and forge a better future. That is exactly the bitter experience we've learned, and we're now ready to ameliorate and forge ahead.
You talked about not being divided within.
Yeah.
A lot of people have seen the APC as a quite fractious, political realm in Sierra Leone. I'm happy you partly attributed that particular discordiality to the misfortune you had endured. However, going forward, 2028 is not too far. The elections are quite close. Some would say, what would you say to people who would say, well, I'm tired with the APC and the SLPP. What if these people are not the right people after all? Even though you are united more than ever, but perhaps you're not the fittest people to rule us. What do you say to these people?
Firstly, I will say to them, please continue to bank on us. We are the most fit to rule this country. We will not discard your opinion in its entirety, but we'll give you the right to your opinion. But again, don't lose hope. Believe in us. See what we have done. Read our report cards. See our track record. Compare the past to the present and make a decisive decision for the future. See what the Ernest Kroma government have done. See what the SLPP is doing. Compare and contrast and make a projection. However, we will say, we are not divided. For me, entitlement to opinion doesn't mean we are divided. With respect to you, Mr. Jones, we may not share the same opinion, but that doesn't mean we are not united. You may look at things from a different version or from a different vantage. I may look at the same issue from a different vantage. Your resolutions or your conclusion will be completely different from mine. But that does not in any way say you and I don't have a unity of purpose. This is what exactly we're encouraging in the room. That irrespective of the fact that we have divergent opinions, let us not allow these opinions to share us apart. Let us have a common focus. That irrespective of the fact that we are all running to become the flag bearer of the APC, one thing that is common to all of us is that it's the APC. So irrespective of, amidst our individual ambition, let us look at the bigger picture to State House. It's immaterial at this particular time. It's whether it's Mr. A or Mr. B that becomes the standard bearer. What we are particular about is to create a level playing field for all. So at the end of the day, Mr. A or Mr. B who emerges the winner, nobody cries foul. So that in itself will disconnect that division.
Okay. Let's now circle back to the elections and talk about electoral integrity. Who's going to be overseeing these elections? Do you have like an independent committee within the party that oversees, internal elections?
Yes.
Okay.
It's called the Internal Election Management Committee, the IEMC. Okay. It's provided for in, Article 42 of our Constitution. It gives them the mandate to conduct the internal party elections at all levels. And so they are being headed by a national coordinator. And it's that coordinator that is responsible for the day-to-day activities of that particular committee. So what they have done is that, I don't know whether you hosted one of them here before their retreat in McKinney. They have just conducted a well-attended retreat in McKinney, where they are now settled with a manual to regulate exactly how they intend to roll out this all-important activity. And that manual has been submitted to NAC. NAC is now looking at that manual to see how they can do necessary corrections, because don't forget that equally IEMC is being regulated by NAC, the highest organ of the party at this moment. And so NAC is now looking at the manual to see whether all that is factored into that manual is appropriate and meets international best practices. We don't want to see a situation wherein Lai Lima will be saying nobody uses mobile phones in the polling station, and then the First Lady Fatima Bio comes and say no, everybody use phones in the polling station. It's chaotic. It's not orderly. This person says this, this person says this. We don't want to see a situation of same. So what we're doing is that we want to put all our bylaws that will regulate the conduct of this all-important process in blueprint, so that everybody who is going to participate already knows that this is the organogram, this is the modus operandi, this is how you go about it. Failing which, you will know you have a no-go area. It's a no way to compromise. That is why we're putting everything on a blueprint. So what we've done, we've sent the rules to PPRC. PPRC has reviewed these rules, and they have sent them back to the party for the final touches. So having done so, after all these final touches have been made, we'll send them back to PPRC, and PPRC will then gazette these rules, and then they will be made public. It will now be made public to whosoever intends to run or wants to vote. That's exactly how it happens.
Do you think these elections will shape the mentality of people as to how they view the main opposition in Sierra Leone?
Yes. In fact, for me, I started right from my takeoff point. I said, we want to show to the people of this country, like you, there's a question you posed to me, what about those who say, I've seen the APs and there's like the same parties, people. Yes. So we want to create an impression to these guys that are sitting on the fence, to you professionals, you people out there, to see how we conduct ourselves. Whether if within ourselves we are able to conduct ourselves appropriately, then you can trust us to run the country. You understand? It's like a test case for the party. If you cannot put your house in order, how can you come and control others? So for we in the APC, we see it as a litmus test that it behoves us now to making sure that we convince the wider Sierra Leonean, the globe, that indeed we are now ready than ever before. Our house is now intact than ever before. Discipline, decency, and democratic best practices are now in operation than any other time before. Having done so, we will now win the confidence of the people out there. And that's exactly what we want to do.
I believe there is an electoral calendar already. Yes. Yes. What does it look like? What's the time frame?
Yes, it begins with the lower level elections, right, across all quarters. And we call it lower level because it's that electioneering process that caters for all officers who are not national officers. So it begins in August. We preempted first week in August, but as it stands now, the party will communicate whether all things being equal will still hit to that date, or there will be a little bit of deferment. But however, that the party will communicate, and I will come again to communicate when that decision is made. But however, after the ward elections, we'll have what we call the constituency elections. That is how it goes. I told you that it's like a cadre system, a block system. You come first from the ward, you go to the constituency, from the constituency you go to the district, from the district you go to the region. And after the region, that is where it ends. That's where the lower level elections ends. Having done all this, it is those delegates now, this voting block, Mr. Jones, is this voting block right from this cadre now that will now go to the ultimate NDC to elect national officers.
There are a couple of messages here, just a few of them. You wanted to come in briefly? Yes. Mohammed Ramadan Icon Shombe is saying, how can someone be a member of the APC? Mark 10, New England Veal is saying, the APC party might have won the 2018 election but failed to take power because of an internal issue. It was the APC that came back to the people and said Samura Kamara, who was the party flag bearer at the time, went to President Bio and gave up the party. This is what led to the party's defeat and confusion. Lolo Gasperini is saying, why did the APC call off the lower level election? Do you believe that cancelling the lower level will have a negative impact on the flag bearer election? Or are you cancelling because the executive want to rig the process and select the person they want? Amin Tutu Soa, you can't call yourself a grassroots party when you preach inclusion publicly but practice exclusion internally. You expect votes from the South and East but offer no leadership space in return. You disqualified leaders like Sam Sumana because he doesn't come from the usual place. That's not grassroots, that's gatekeeping, that's political hypocrisy dressed in red. These are just few of the comments we've had.
Firstly, to become a member of the APC must be a Sierra Leonean of majority age. We know what majority age is pursuant to the Child Rights Act 2007. You must have been 18 years and above. And you must not be a card-carrying member of any other political party. If you belong to another political party, you have to resign from that political party with a certificate of resignation, and they will have you into the APC party. There are different categories in the APC party you want to be a member of. It ranges from ordinary member, honorary member, executive member, and patron member. So these are the ways you can become a member of the party. For the fees as to each of these categories, I would advise the person to read the secretariat. And how can the APC preach grassroots, but they are not grassrooted? We are grassroots. And that is exactly why we believe in the APC. It's the party for the common man. And you can see from our founding fathers, from a trade unionist, Shaka Publin Stephen, he became the leader and chairman of the party, and then ultimately the president of the country. Anas Bai Koroma, from just an insurance broker to the presidency of this country. So that tells you we're deeply rooted in grassroots. And the other person saying we preach nationalism, but we believe in too much of this gatekeeping as opposed to what exactly happens with Sam Sumana. I'll tell the person that Sam Sumana is a bona fide member of the APC and a card-carrying member of the APC. He has been issued his card, bona fide member of the APC. Somebody commented on the issue of Samura Kamara. We are united. We are not digging old wounds anymore. We are forging ahead. We are not ready again to go back to where we're coming from. We're forging forward. Well, one thing I believe, Samura Kamara believes in the APC. One thing we know is that we're all in this together and we'll leave nobody behind. So basically that's exactly what answers some of those questions. To those I cannot comment. I am sorry, maybe they escaped me.
Within the party, what's the qualification criteria to run for these offices?
Phoebe, at the ward level, I think for you to be qualified to run or vote at the ward level, you must have been in the party consistently for 12 calendar months, fully paid up. And in an event you are not a fully paid up member in the party, you cannot vote, nor will you be voted for. At the district level and regional level, you must have been in the party for consistently 24 calendar months, in other words, 2 years. And you must be fully paid up. And failing short of that, you don't have the franchise to vote or be voted for. At the national level, where we elect national officers, you must have been in the party for consistently 5 years uninterruptedly. That is exactly the caveat. You can be a honorary member of the party. You can be a honorary member of the party, an ordinary member of the party, condition dependent on what category you want to belong. But don't forget, all these categories have qualifications. For those cadres, all what is important, if you meet the requirement, Phoebe, you are given a date for which you became a member of the party. And it is that date that determines your entrance into the party. So you can come to the party, let's say we said, for you to become an honorary member of the party, you must have been a minister, a former vice president, a distinguished civil servant, A, B, and Z. Former. And you now come, you are a former vice president. Maybe you belong to the SLPP, and you've served as a former vice president. So now, you've left the SLPP, resigned, and now you want to come to the APC. Because you have served as a former vice president, which is captured there, maybe you want to become a honorary member. Who issue you that one? Because the position says for distinguished people. And then the dates you became a member of the party, it's that date effectively that will be captured in your party.
Now let's be specific. What's the status of Chief Sam Sumana?
Chief Sam Sumana, I am not saying this because of Chief Sam Sumana, please. Let me make a disclaimer. I am saying that Chief Sam Sumana, to answer your question specifically, is a bona fide member of the APC party.
Starting when? I
think his membership card is given to him, and that is confidential.
No, I'm saying starting when?
I cannot tell. I cannot tell when he...
Starting when he came back recently or before he had left the APC?
I knew you cannot belong to two political parties at the same time. He was in the APC. He left the APC. He went to C4C. He left the C4C. He has come back to the APC. It is now condition dependent on him when he left the C4C with his formal resignation letter and when he became a formally member of the APC. As far as my memory can serve me right, that he was officially, again, welcome to the party.
Does that qualify him now to run for office within the APC as per your constitution?
Does that qualify him to run for an office in the APC? I think he must have spent some considerable years. I cannot tell whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5. I cannot tell. He can tell better. But if he has, according to his party card, he has exceeded 1 year, 2 years, I think he can start running from the ward district, because for ward is 1 calendar year, 12 months. For district level is 24 months, 2 years. And for national offices like flag bearer, national chairman, secretary general, PRO, whatever, he must have been 5 years. If he thinks he is 5 years in the party, he thinks he can run. But don't forget, the party constitution is going to be followed strictly sensu. And that is more so the reason why the rules we submitted to PPRC emanated from our party constitution. All the rules we submitted governs exactly entrance or qualification standards as to how you qualify for respective positions.
In the last 2 elections, your last flag bearer, Dr. Samuel Kamara, came to that position surrounded by controversy in the method of selection or election. For 2028, what method would the APC be using to find a flag bearer? Selection or election?
Yes, Phoebe, back to memory lane. In 2018, Dr. Samura was truly selected. In 2023, Dr. Samura Kamara was